Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and welcome. Pull up a chair, have a seat, enjoy. You are joining me here on my YouTube channel so that we can talk about Monday Night Raw, the September 10 edition. Woo! I'm spent, folks. I still haven't quite recuperated from watching that edition of Raw, but hey, you know what? It's fine. Everything is fine. We are going to go through this together. I kind of see what I'm doing here tonight as a bit of a support group for those of us who care enough to power through 3 hours of nothing, really, of just filler from top to bottom. Glad you're here. Before we go on, I'm going to be completely transparent here. I'm having trouble speaking. I'm having trouble talking. I currently have either canker sore. I have a canker sore in my mouth. And it's actually right on the side of my tongue, right on the right side. And so whenever, literally right on the side. So whenever I speak, it goes and it rubs itself up against my teeth. And it's kind of annoying / painful. I'm trying to power through it. So I might sound a little silly than usual. Well, bear with me, folks. Hey, you know what? Your boy Warren has got a ton of stuff coming up this week. You know, as usual, if you're watching this on September 11, on that very day, you know that tonight is SmackDown Live, so that means tomorrow on Wednesday, my SmackDown Live review will be up here on YouTube, and then in the evening, over on FightfulSelect.com, I will be doing my weekly NXT 205 Live recap plus Mae Young Classic recap. I'll be doing all of that over on FightfulSelect.com. You know about FightfulSelect.com, right? You know about Fightful.com, the premier new combat sports news source for all your combat news sports needs. Pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, it's all there. Well, on top of all the news you get there, you can sign up to FightfulSelect.com, and there you have a whole bunch of extra premium content. More content. Not gated content, not having access to articles there. No. What you get are a bunch of members-only podcasts, such as my NXT 205 Live recap shows. You get Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor. He does a Weekender podcast every week, recaps the weekend news, talks about non-WWE programming like Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, Impact, New Japan, being the Elite, 12 pounds of gold. He talks about all of that. We get Q&A sessions. Sean and I do monthly retro reviews. Those are exciting. We recently released TNA Unbreakable and SummerSlam 1992, so those are right up there. For FightfulSelect.com members, you should go sign up. There's no reason why you shouldn't, especially since it starts at $5 a day. $5, not a day, a month. It costs even less than $5 a day. It's $5 a month. That's pennies on the dollar. When you stretch that out over an entire month, if you were to look at it in a daily way. But yeah, go and take a look at that. And then this is Hell in a Cell week here. So we got Hell in a Cell coming up. And you know, prediction shows are some of the best reasons to do wrestling podcasts and videos and give opinions. We all love to do the predictions. Well, I'm going to have my own prediction show, as I usually do for pay-per-views, over on Friday. And I'm not going to be doing it alone. I will be joined by none other than Kristen Ashley, who is an extraordinary sports writer. She does a lot of writing on wrestling. She over at Fansided DDT, the Daily DDT. She also writes for Fightful. She'll be joining me, so we'll be doing this live. And Kristen doesn't, she doesn't take things lightly. It'll probably be let's put it this way, it'll probably be a very lively conversation. So join me on Friday for that. That's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be my week. A little extra nuggets of content with the preview show. That'll be fun. Speaking of fun, Raw was not fun. Oh, it was such a go-home show. It was really a go-home show, like in the worst possible sense. WWE has this thing about making their go-home shows very missable. Like there's nothing going on really, but man. Get 3 hours of wrestling. All right, let's just go right for. Oh wait, no, before we actually get into it, as I usually do before a show, I head over to the Twitter. The Twitter. You can follow me there at Mr. Warren Hayes if you do like. Right here, Mr. Warren Hayes. And I ask people in my timeline to give me their boldest predictions. No limp noodle predictions. I'm talking about like your boldest, wildest claims that you think might happen tonight. And those are always fun. I have a few here. Been doing this for a couple of shows now, pulling them up. Let's see a few of these very bold claims that occurred in the lead up to Raw tonight. Such as, let's start with Gregory Delela, who said, whose bold prediction was Roman throws out the open challenge for the Universal title, and he, as in the person in the thread here in the Twitter, he answers and breaks his losing streak. Kurt Hawkins breaking his losing streak on Roman Reigns. That's bold. That's bold. That's why we like it. It's bold. Los Ingobernables de Carne said Renee turns on Dean and the Shield and joins literally everyone else on the roster against them. Now that's pretty bold. Happy to see Renee officially take her spot on commentary, and I do say her spot. I think it's deserved. She's put in the work and the time. And she definitely has the talent to pull it off as well. So good on Renee. I don't think she'll be turning on the Shield anytime soon. But hey, bold predictions. Speaking of bold predictions, we have Battlefront Boss here, who tweeted out, Drake Maverick wrestles. And I'm like, and sometimes, when folks tweet stuff out and I don't feel it's very bold, I give them a little nudge and I said, tweeted back and I said, bolder. And Battlefront Boss responded, he wrestles against Paul Ellering. Now that's bold. That's bold. Just need a little push. Tanya says, bold, you ask? Yes, that's what I do. Roman Reigns offers an open challenge and loses the title to Mickie James. That's pretty bold. That would have been pretty bold. Bruce Delancey says Elias wins the freshly returned 24/7 hardcore title, then loses it to Renee Young via dirty deeds on the coach's car. Taken completely out of context, Renee doing dirty deeds on coach's car it's not exactly wrestle speak. It could be very much misconstrued for something else. But nonetheless, a very Very bold claim. We have Colton Philpott here who says Ronda does a judo throw to both Alexa and Alicia at the same time. That's pretty bold, but I gotta say, Josiah from Canada one-upped Ronda judo throws an ambulance. That was my boldest claim, boldest prediction of the night. I would have really dug to see that. Thank you, everyone, for jumping in and giving me your bold predictions. All right, let's start talking about Raw now. The show starts with Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre coming to the ring. They come out to the ring and they are followed by all the heels, or at least most of them. I think they were pretty much all there, though. I think all the heels were there. Then we get a previously on Raw promo. I think it's Drew that calls to the video, and man, the previously is so friggin' long. I think the whole thing lasted about 8 minutes. It was ridiculous. Braun calls Roman a coward. You have the Hounds of Justice, Roman. I have the Dogs of War. The Shield have been running around too long, doing everything they want. And I'm like, wait, hang on. If you're talking about all the times that they've been together, like split up, then back together, then split up, then back together, then yeah, maybe. But technically, like in this incarnation of the Shield right now, it's been a couple of weeks before, and it had been months, actually. It had been since Dean's injury that the Shield had done anything. And then before that, it had been well over, 2 years? Since Seth had turned on the Shield, and I don't remember exactly, but it was a bit of a weak sauce argument. So Dolph basically he gets his moment with the microphone. He's pep talking the heels, saying, they did good. You stood up for yourselves. Drew says that they will continue the carnage tonight against the B team, who invoked their rematch clause, because of course they did. Then the Shield music hits. They come in from through the audience, and they basically again take out all the heels on the heel side, all the heels on the heel side of the Raw roster, and they're attacking everyone with axe handles. This was a little limp as far as opening segments go. You kind of get the impression that they were expecting it to be a lot more exciting than it was, but no, it wasn't exactly all that great. And was it me, or Braun left the ring as the Shield were coming? Was Braun being cowardly? Because I don't quite buy that. I don't see why Braun didn't jump right into the fray when the Shield arrived and started beating everyone up. He can be opportunistic. I'm okay with that. But running from a fight? Especially since it doesn't quite make sense with the rest of the evening afterwards. Anyway. Speaking of limp segments, the Bellas arrive in their locker room. This was shot a little later. I'm going to try to amuse myself in any way I can today, whenever. The Bellas arrive. They're shooting stuff for their YouTube channel, and they arrive in their locker room to see carnage and desecration and vandalism, because the Riot Squad, they flip chairs over, and they pushed a bag, a piece of luggage over, and then they took a marker and they very clearly wrote "Fearless Nikki" on a wall, and then scratched out the "less" and with another marker, a red one, wrote "More, fear more Nikki." Wow, I tell you, them Riot Squad, gee willikers. Whoo, those are some, what a bunch of miscreants. Oh, wouldn't want them to come and, mess up your neighborhood. Right? Terrorize all the old ladies in the neighborhood with their Sharpie pens and their, play on words. They might just knock over a garbage bin. Oh, and the Bellas get mad, but all they have to do really is just pick the chair back up, set it back up, put whatever was over, tossed over, just set it right side up, and call some of the staff to come in and clean up the wall. Wasn't much of a business. I don't know. The police are back. But this time it's the New Orleans police, and they are trying to contain the Shield as they try to go back to the ring. They're being very belligerent to the 7 or 8 officers who are there. The Shield, they're above the law. They're the hounds of justice, but their own brand of justice. Anyway, it's really weird, these police segments. And then we get our first match of the night, which was Nikki Bella versus Ruby Riott. Ruby didn't even get her entrance, but we got the full Bella entrance. And there's nothing like starting a match straight into a headlock. Ooh, that's exciting. That gets the blood pumping. And it's like, let's get more of this. Woo, Ruby Riott versus Nikki Bella. Nikki hits a really bad spear on Ruby as well, and I think at some point Corey Graves starts putting over the Bellas YouTube channel and the reality series, saying that they're entrepreneurs, they do all this stuff outside of wrestling. And I think at some point he actually, I think he says that the Riot Squad kind of want what the Bellas have with all of this, and I don't think so. That didn't quite make sense. Nikki Bella did a face crusher on her knee that she pulled Ruby down for a face crusher, and Ruby never even came close to the knee. Nikki did a nice second rope kick, flying kick off the second rope. That was really nice. Ruby, listen, God bless her. One of the best workers on the roster. You put her with Nikki Bella, and she'll spin chicken salad out of lemons. But I mean, she'll do whatever she can to make this happen, right? She'll, and I think that she made Nikki look good despite it all. The end comes when Bree tries to keep Liv Morgan from interfering in the ending, in the conclusion, because Nikki essentially has Ruby Riott up on her in the fireman's carry position so that she can hit the rack attack 2.0. and because that's still very contemporary, talking about 2.0 stuff. And so she has her up there, and it just takes forever with the sequence for Liv and Brie to just go through, Brie keeping Liv out of the ring. I think Ruby is up there for like 15 seconds, and there's no reason for Ruby Riott to stay prone in that position believably for 15 seconds. She could have squirmed out of there any given reason. But yeah, Nikki hits the finisher for the win. Congratulations, Nikki Bella. Turns out this will probably be the best match of the evening. We have a segment with the Connor's Cure kids. Big Show is there. Looks like, and okay. Let's get this out of the way right now. I think what WWE does when they do these kinds of things, especially for sick kids, giving them a crazy moment like this, and I don't know, with the segment that they showed off, with the kids and their costumes, and are they at Full Sail? I think they are at Full Sail. Look, it was really cool. I thought it was a nice gesture for them to do, and regardless of what Connor's Cure, regardless what the charity is in and about itself, and its own practices, so on and so forth, just the fact that they do this for the kids and they take the time to do it for the kids, it's amazing. And Big Show, as the spokesperson, the WWE spokesperson for the charity, I think he's really enjoying himself. I think he legitimately is taking great pride in doing what he's doing. And it's nice. They have the kids all out. They're from Louisiana, everyone pops. And it's good, and it's nice because even the audience is reacting positively to this. I would remember, WWE trying stuff out like this, being a little more sentimental, a little more, not necessarily sentimental, but a little more socially aware, socially invested. A few years ago, back in the Attitude Era, this would have been booed out of the building. Are you kidding me? So kudos on them for doing this. But that segment was so long. It was so freaking long. It took forever. But Big Show looked like he was enjoying himself. So that's the important part. And the kids, well, they were very likely all very proud to be there. Nice touch. It's good. By the way, here's something I forgot to mention. Just as I want to just backtrack a little bit if you don't mind. I'm going to talk about the Bella Twins again. During the match, like I said, Corey Graves was trying to put over the fact that, the Riot Squad want to have what the Bella Twins have. And during the match, they did put over a couple of times. The reality show, the YouTube channel, all their entrepreneurial work, These are all things that happen outside of WWE. And just the last week, I was listening to the Bruce Pritchard podcast, Something to Wrestle. And Bruce Pritchard was recounting a story where they were talking about Diesel back in the day, and how he'd have these differences sometimes that he'd have with JR, back then, where JR would like to talk about wrestlers' athletic backgrounds. JR would always talk about collegiate football and stuff like that. How. And even today, WWE, they still do it, but always, in regards to wrestling, amateur wrestling backgrounds, stuff like that. And in this segment here, in this story here, JR, it's when they were trying to put Diesel over as a babyface. Diesel was in this sit-down interview with JR, and JR was like, well, talk to me about your college basketball era. You used to play college ball and blah blah blah. As a means to to get him over as a babyface. And Bruce Pritchard, basically, he said, he and JR always had differences on this point because in Bruce's point of view, whatever you do outside of wrestling doesn't matter. And the fans won't necessarily care because they want you to do things for them in the ring as a wrestler. And I can't help but now this is always what I'm going to think about when they talk about the Bellas and everything that they do, because they've been outside of the ring for so long. If we're supposed to be proud of them for Total Bellas, Total Divas, I guess they're in there as well, and their YouTube channel, I don't really care. Oh, this is why they've been off. They've had all these projects. It doesn't matter. Not to me. John Cena went out to film a movie called Ferdinand. Well, I don't care. I really don't care. Well, I'm happy for John Cena as a person who is looking to spread his wings and find career growth in areas outside of wrestling. And, and if he's connected and has the talent to pull it off as an actor, good on him. I'm completely for that. Doesn't change what he's done in the business, but these accomplishments for me as a wrestling fan, when John Cena comes into the wrestling environment, don't mean squat to me. Same thing with the Bellas. If they've been gone for 18 months, 20 months to shoot the reality series, take care of a YouTube channel, these are not things that connect with me at all. If anything, I connect more with Brie Bella having actually given birth, decided to become a parent, and then make an in-ring comeback. I'm like, okay, that I can buy. That's something I feel I can naturally get behind because it's relatable. But going off, doing other projects, doing other things, and coming back, and this is pretty much all we can talk about, I don't care about it. But maybe it's just me. But whatever they do in their reality TV world has no impact as to how I feel about them in wrestling. If anything, it diminishes maybe a little. Okay, I said what I had to say about that. Thank you for being here. Then we get a long recap of Shawn Michaels and Undertaker last week, and I was like, at this point in the evening, when that segment ended, we were at about a 45-minute mark at this point. We had like 9 minutes and 12 seconds of bell-to-bell action, which had been interrupted by 2 minutes of commercials. But thankfully, we get the Authors of Pain who come in, and they face Ronnie Ace and Bradley. I forget his first name. As far as jobber casting goes, WWE is spot on with these two guys. Like, they are the most jobberish looking jobbers we have seen in the WWE ring in a long time. And someone on Twitter actually tweeted out to be Warren, do you think that they called him Ronnie Ace as a rib for Johnny Ace? I'm like, probably. That'd be the kind of thing that Vince finds really funny. He's blonde, kind Kind of looks like Laurinaitis. Ha ha ha. So the Authors of Pain come out with Jake Maverick. Thank God they got rid of the stupid riot gear. Now he's just like in a wife beater. Just a black wife beater. And that, fine, he looks a lot less goofy. I still think he should look like a manager. But this is a good compromise. And the commentary team put over AOP and their Carnage. You know the kind of dominant tag team, that'll just be wiped out by 3 guys with axe handles, while there's 10 other guys involved in there. Yeah, AOP. Just before that, just getting completely creamed by the Shield. And here they're unstoppable. They leave a trail of bodies wherever they go, except when they're dealing with the Shield. All right, so this gave us 1 minute and 24 seconds of wrestling. Now, I'm sorry, I don't want to be this guy. But at the time where Triple H comes out to do his promo, we're wrapping up the first hour of wrestling, of Raw. And we had 10 minutes and 37 seconds of bell-to-bell action. And folks, honestly, I can't bear with that kind of stuff. This is what I watch wrestling for the action, for people pretend fighting with each other. That's what I want. I don't want all of this talk and all of these storylines. You can tell stories in the ring, and I wish sometimes this would get across with WWE. It's so frustrating. And you know what? It actually, I think I've mentioned this before, but I may have mentioned this in some of the earlier episodes of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. So I forgive you, kind, gentle listeners, if you're not exactly aware with all my opinions. But I don't look back at the Attitude Era of the WWE with great fondness and regards, telling myself, you know what, we should go back to those days. I think I'm more objective in remembering what was going on in the Attitude Era back then than a lot of people are. Yes, it was a boom time for wrestling, and it's probably a time that saved the WWE. I don't think that the Attitude Era in about itself is the only reason WWE was so successful, because I believe the competitive aspect of the Monday Night Wars back then helped WWE improve. Try stuff out, be risky. I think that there was lightning in a bottle at that era as well. And you had Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin and The Rock, Undertaker. Triple H was starting to come up. The whole of DX. It was lightning in a bottle, where you had all these amazing talents there. And this is what we have a tendency to remember, how great and fantastic these guys were. Mick Foley. But the upper card, as stacked as it was with incredible talent, the lower card was so-so. And it's not necessarily because the people were untalented, it's because they had so very little leg room or wiggle room to actually do anything on Raw. And back then, Raw was all talk. It was interviews and in-ring segments galore. Trust me. This was Vince Russo. It was Crash TV. So when you did get a match, they were short. 3, 4, 5 minutes tops. You'd practically have no wrestling during Raw. Even at the peak of the Attitude Era, a lot of hardcore fans were not happy, because there was no action. I swear, if Twitter had been around back then, y'all would be going completely berserk. Completely berserk. So I don't want to be that guy. But when you watch wrestling, a wrestling-based program, and you get 10 minutes, not even a full 11 minutes of wrestling in the first 60 minutes of the show, it's a little draining. Anyway, Triple H is in the ring. He's amazed that Taker would get so mad at Shawn's words last week, and, just doesn't quite understand that Shawn's words would make him so pissy, and basically says, that at Super Showdown, he's going to take the dead man down. Fine promo. And I said it on Twitter. I think Triple H, ever since he stopped being a full-time performer, he's been cutting the best promos of his career. Ironically enough. Next, we get Dolph and Drew versus the B-Team. The rematch clause has been invoked here. I mentioned that a little earlier. Ziggler gets control early on with a nice drop kick to Bo Dallas's face. Like a nice drop kick. Like he landed square on his face. B-Team then gets in control and cuts Ziggler off. They do some quick tags in the corner. Super kick into an Alabama slam on Curtis Axel. That was really cool. Bo Dallas was your babyface in peril for most of the... Curtis Axel was babyface in peril for most of the match. And when he finally hits Bo Dallas, his hot tag was hot as hell. It was El Fuego. C'était en feu. It was crazy. That was a really, really hot tag. We even had, in this sequence, little flashes of good old NXT champion Bo Dallas here. He had some fire, man. But not enough. Claymore zigzag combo for the win. And Dolph and Drew retain. But then the Shield come out of nowhere and attack the tag champs. So wouldn't that mean that they're going to be arrested? Doesn't that mean that Seth and Roman are going to lose their titles? Going to forfeit them? No. Because they meet up with Dean Ambrose. Dean and Seth meet up with Baron Corbin backstage, and he's basically saying, I warned you guys. I told you, if you did that kind of crap, you're gonna be kicked out. The Shield isn't supposed to be doing this. And Seth and Dean are like, but we're not the Shield. We're just the two of us. We're Seth and Dean, but we're not the Shield. We're just doing our own thing. Corbin's not buying it. I got a little confused at this segment, and maybe it's just because my attention span was. I felt I had given so much and received so little. Maybe because I really got confused here. There was a police officer who was reading Baron Corbin his rights because Baron would have falsified an arrest report from last week. I don't understand what's going on. And they basically thank the officer. Dean says, if I'm ever in jail again, I'll give you a call. It was funny because Dean's a funny guy. And I like how he still stays, affable, funny Dean, but while maintaining that little edge that he has since his return. It's good stuff. But I'm still confused as to what happened exactly. But what we should remember from this segment here is that Seth and Dean were able to weasel their way out of being arrested. There you go. Kevin Owens comes to the ring. He actually came to the ring after the tag team match, then after that they recapped Mick Foley. They recapped Mick Foley doing the Hell in a Cell dive 20 years ago, and Mick Foley, and I'm being legitimate here. Mick Foley was one of the two reasons that I would watch the WWE/WWF back then, because he has always been such a heart on sleeve kind of guy who wasn't afraid to do completely crazy stuff and not just thumbtacks and throwing himself off. Dude Love, guys. Dude Love is one of the greatest wrestling characters who have ever existed. Mick Foley's the guy that was able to get across the fact that he portrayed 3 different characters and we all bought into it and it wasn't garbage. That demands a certain level of sincerity and connection. He was funny. He brought a whole other dimension to all the seriousness and the, he was a perfect foil to the likes of Austin and The Rock. That's why they worked so well together. All those 3 guys. And he's always been and will always be one of my favorite wrestling performers. And I still get misty-eyed anytime I come across a clip of him winning his first championship on Raw. The match itself, but especially at the end when Stone Cold's music hits and the crowd erupts because they know Austin's going to come make sure everything goes well for our hero here. The pop he gets when he stuns The Rock, and the even bigger pop when Mick wins the title. I have goosebumps right now just talking about it. It's one of those things that it just sticks with me. He's a guy that I always appreciated, that I love so much. He did not have to do half of what he did to try and make us appreciate him. And every sacrifice he's done was for us as fans. And I will always sincerely and profoundly appreciate what he did. So when they recap the Hell in the Cell thing, well, it's still hard to watch to this day. And I think it's harder to watch now after all the stories, after how he recounted it in his book, when you know what happened, when you know that the roof of the cell wasn't supposed to give like that, when you know that he was really, really hurt, that Terry Funk had come out, and not because it was an angle, but because he wanted Mick to stay the hell down, that there wasn't supposed to be the rest of the match when he got gurneyed out the first time. Oh boy, that was something. So they recap all of that, and then Kevin Owens comes out, and he goes to the ring. And then there's a commercial, and then they do the whole thing with Baron Corbin and the Shield. So, Kevin Owens was in the ring for 5 minutes, just waiting around. That's dumb. That's just stupid. Anyway, so his opponent is Tyler Breeze. Not much of a match. Owens powerbombs Breeze on the side of the ring apron, and it was vicious. It didn't sound pretty. For Prince pretty. And he basically, the match is done. There's no bell. He just goes out and grabs a mic. Kevin Owens does. And it says, 2 weeks ago, I walked away from this company, and Baron Corbin called me back and begged me to return. Because Baron Corbin recognizes my value as the MVP of Raw, I agreed to come back as long as I am not held accountable to what I do to my opponents. For what I do to my opponents, he says, I do what I want when I want. And then and here's the interesting thing, he starts blaming the reason he left and the reason he came back on Bobby Lashley. And why is he blaming Bobby Lashley? And I'm like, they could just say, well, because Bobby Lashley injured Sami Zayn, and that's what they did. He's the reason why he left. He's the reason why he's back. He's the reason why he's pissed at Bobby Lashley. And that's because Bobby Lashley injured his best friend, Sami Zayn, who was out rehabbing his arm. It's not exactly the truth, but that's continuity. Holy shit. When WWE pull that off, it's always like it's one of those moments where you're like, oh, okay, they're actually keeping things all tied up together. But Kevin Owens has a tendency to do that. He likes his things to be logical. Like when he cut a promo a few weeks ago saying, how things were crappy on SmackDown because of Shane McMahon and so on and so on. And he was able to trace his all of his grievances over to this moment. He's so good at that. He's a storyteller. And he's a great promo. When he's fired up like that, man, you cannot not get behind Kevin Owens. Now, that's the thing that you have to wonder what's going to happen next. As I've said often before, there's no greater heel than a heel who's right. When you have a heel who has a legitimate gripe that you can actually get behind, and you're like, look, this guy's pissed because this other guy injured his friend out. It's kind of hard not to get behind Kevin Owens. Is this the smart move for Bobby Lashley? WWE is desperately trying to get Bobby Lashley over. They're having trouble. Is this a smart move on their end? I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out. But if Bobby Lashley is put in the position where he injured, where one guy is basically saying, look, you moron, you injured my friend and I'm coming for you. I can get behind that guy. I can get behind Owens. I can support what he's doing for sure. It might be trouble for Bobby Lashley. I don't know. I don't know how that'll look on him. Next, we got Chad Gable and Bobby Roode versus The Ascension. Again, Chad Gable being very overzealous, extremely enthusiastic to being part of the glorious environment of Bobby Roode. He hits his Germans on Victor, a Northern Lights suplex as well, but Gable goes for all the stops. And Bobby Roode tags in, tries to get some offense in, but Gable tags himself back in. He does his rolling German into a bridge again this week for the win. And listen, I don't see this being stretched out very longer. I think they're going to kill this team earlier than sooner than later, because the way that they're putting it across is just way too big. Way too much of Chad Gable trying to take up all the spotlight. Yes, he's super excited, he's motivated, but it's not going to last very long. And if it means a heel turn for Bobby Roode, that's fine. Hopefully they have a good plan for Bobby Roode, because I don't think just the heel turn is going to recoup for the damage that was done to his career up until this point, his main roster career. Ronda Rousey and Natalya versus Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. Natalya is in control on Alexa Bliss early on. She has some nice groundwork, does her classic step over into a basement dropkick thing. Ronda and Natty hit a nice snap double suplex. It wasn't a German, just a snap double suplex on Mickie James. But the heel is getting control, and Natalya is your babyface in peril for most of the match, with James and Bliss keeping her down. Bliss at some point slaps Ronda, who chases her out of the ring, rolls back in, right into Natalya, who grabs her in a bear hug position, an elevated bear hug position, and Ronda then runs to the ropes and they catch her in a heart attack just before we go to commercial. And like I said on Twitter, man, they should have just pinned them right there, because I think Bubba Ray Dudley's going to go into conniptions again. Back from commercial, James has Natalya in leg scissors. She goes into a triangle as well to try and have her submit. Natalya gets to Ronda for the hot tag, but they go outside, and James distracts her so that she can get beaten up by Alexa without getting any offense in. So now she's the babyface in peril, but not for for a short while. Now the story here is that Bliss starts working the ribs on the apron. She does some kicks. She stretches her in the ring. The idea here is that she's working the ribs, and this is going to carry over. But Ronda battles back with some strikes. She throws Mickie James around a couple of times with some judo throws. Locks her in the arm bar. She taps. Win for Rousey and Natalya. Alexa then gets a side kick in for good measure after the match as Ronda and Natalya are celebrating. So the story here, because there's an interview backstage, where Ronda is asked, well, are you going to be 100% to compete? And she says, it's not the first time that I compete and I'm injured and blah, blah, blah. So the ribs are going to be part of the story. It wasn't very convincing as far as offense goes, making Ronda Rousey, making the ribs look so, the rib injuries didn't look that severe. I think they should have gone for a body part as opposed to something as very obscure as the ribs, which require, and I'm not talking naturally, but I'm talking as far as storytelling goes, visually, it's much more compelling if someone is working a leg and twisting it or an ankle than the ribs, which are just body shots. It doesn't look as impressive. Now, is this going to be an out for Alexa to get her title back because Rousey will have been injured? Or will Rousey, at Hell in a Cell, fight through all her injuries to retain? We shall see. Elias is in the ring. He runs down Los Angeles with not Los Angeles, New Orleans with football jokes or cracks. Mick Foley interrupts, comes to the ring. A lot of grandstanding here, of course. Elias says that he was in Pittsburgh when Mick was in the Hell in a Cell, and he said his career after that was never the same again. He says, I'm standing in the ring with a broken man who's been singing the same song he's been singing over the past 20 years, but doesn't remember the lyrics. Mick says, I'm not here to talk about the past, I'm here to talk about the future. He talks about what he felt when he was gurneyed away off of the Hell in a Cell. And he says, how I was asking Stephanie McMahon, how could I recapture that moment? How could to feel what I felt back then? How about you put me back in the cell and I be the special guest referee for Braun versus Roman? So that's basically how the segment wraps up. Oh, and Mick apparently Stephanie gave Mick the power for old time's sake to make one more match. And that match is Elias versus Finn Balor. Now the thing here, obviously they're going to use Mick to put Roman over. Roman is going to win at Hell in a Cell. And it's going to be Mick Foley who's going to lift his hand in victory to try and, have the good stuff rub off onto Roman. Again, this attitude, or is it attitude the word I'm looking for? This tangent that they have to get Roman over at all costs. It's sort of starting to get transparent and a little heavy-handed, folks. But the good thing about this segment is that this was actually the only true development of the entire night. The true surprise. We're like, oh, okay, so they're adding this. So the entire 3 hours of Raw was dedicated essentially to Mick Foley announcing that he's going to be the special guest referee for the Hell in a Cell. Braun is backstage and he's throwing stuff around looking for Roman, and I'm like, why are you looking for Roman? You had him at the start of the evening and you sort of ran away. Why are you looking for him now? He was right there in the ring. Well, he had axe handles. As if Braun Strowman cares that someone has axe handles. Holy shit. Anyway. Yeah, Finn Balor versus Elias. Not much here. Not much going on here. The crowd was not into this match, most of it. But then again, I'd be kind of mad and I'd be drained if I had been at that Raw last night, because wow, that was something. You know, at some point Finn starts working Elias's leg. I'm like, oh, okay, we're trying to build a story here, but then he never goes back to it. At some point, he just completely abandons it. Elias has some rest holds. Finn strikes, hits drop kicks. We're back from commercial. Elias is in control. Finn tosses him to the outside, goes for his tope con hilo, but it's taken down by Elias, who covers him for 2. Nice spot where Elias lifts Finn in the electric chair position and spins him around for a sit-out powerbomb. That was cool. A lot of power. Elias is strong. And Finn squeaks out a win with the roll-up from out of nowhere. Completely pointless. Pardon me. Then we see, Bobby Lashley with Lio Rush, who's pumping him up. What are they doing with the cruiserweights? Are we adding more and more of the cruiserweights as we go along? I'm excited to see how this turns out. I don't necessarily want the cruiserweights back on Raw. I think they're doing a fantastic job over on 205 Live. But if they're going to put some guys onto main in these roles like this, like honestly, Lio Rush is such a star. He's such a complete package that if he goes and gets credibility on Raw as a talker, as a character, as a presence, and he can translate that back onto 205 Live, I think it's a fantastic move. Our main event segment, I swear this is exactly like in the Attitude Era days. Main event segment, Braun is looking for Roman Reigns. He's in the ring, tells Roman to come out and face him like a man. Even Braun's promo is dull. Roman's music hits. He's nowhere to be found. We don't know where Roman is. He's at the top of the commentary table, so they brawl at the top of the ramp. Braun sets Roman up on the announce table, but Reigns Samoan drops both guys off the announce table to the floor. You know, usually, this is kind of a constant when it comes to WWE booking before a pay-per-view. Whoever is standing tall at the end of a match / segment is usually the person who is going to lose at the pay-per-view match. So you could argue here that Roman Reigns got one up on Braun Strowman, but I don't think he's going to lose. I mean, you never know. But I'm not here for my predictions just yet. They're coming on Friday, as I will be joined by Kristen Alley. And folks, this is Ashley, not Kristen Alley. She's in Cheers. Kristen Ashley, who's going to be with me. That'll be a lot of fun. But this was a very nothing episode of Raw. Aside from Mick Foley being added to Hell in a Cell, don't see anything of any relevance happening in the show. as opposed to my show where there's all sorts of relevant things happening. You can follow me. You can see all those shows if you follow me on my YouTube channel, which is tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, or on Twitter, Mr. Warren Hayes. I'm there quite a bit. Come chat along with me. So I hope you guys will tune in tomorrow for my SmackDown review, my 205 Live NXT Mae Young Classic review later on in the evening, and then on Friday for my SmackDown, not my SmackDown, but my Hell in a Cell prediction show with my special guest, Kristen Ashley. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I really, really do. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you